At-risk youth, the economically disadvantaged. Who are the economically disadvantaged? Approximately 14 million children in the US, or 1 in every 5, are economically disadvantaged. This is defined as family, school, and community resources that are insufficient in ensuring the material, medical, psychological, and educational needs of a child. This is also a household living below poverty line, which in 2014 was defined as less than $22,000 for a household. The effects of economic disadvantage or poverty in children are vast and multifaceted. They can link together and form this vicious cycle for a child of poverty, starting with before they're even born, in utero, having inadequate prenatal care and being exposed to environmental toxins that are harmful. Social and behavioral problems that arise in school because of lack of support lead into educational attainment and achievement that is far less than what their more advantaged, wealthier peers are receiving. In his book, Teaching with Poverty in Mind, Dr. Jensen states, children raised in poverty rarely choose to behave differently, but they are faced daily with overwhelming challenges that affluent children never have to confront, and their brains have adapted to suboptimal conditions in ways that undermine good school performance. Internal characteristics include emotional and social challenges. Weak or anxious attachments formed by infants grow into full-blown insecurities during childhood. Acute and chronic stressors cause emotional dysregulation, and kids can be seen to give up easily and get frustrated. They are living in a stressed state. Cognitive lags include impaired attention and concentration, reduced cognition, creativity, and memory, diminished social skills and social judgment, reduced motivation, determination, and effort. Health and safety issues can be seen as risky behavior. External behavioral characteristics include a great deal of absenteeism, tardiness, suspension, expulsion, frequent threats to quit, and disruptive and impulsive behavior. So how does poverty affect the home life of a child? Approximately 50% of these children live in single-parent households, which typically reduces the financial and social resources available to them. Poverty impairs parenting skills, and disengaged or negative parenting in turn impairs children's school performance. They provide less cognitive stimulation for the child. 62% of low-income mothers with children ages 3 to 5 answered never or almost never to the question, how often do you show full attention to your children? The child is more apt to be exposed to risk of domestic violence, parental substance abuse, and mental health problems. So how does poverty affect schools? Schools in poverty-stricken areas are typically inadequately funded and equipped. Teachers are underpaid and usually underqualified. This creates a poor social climate for the school. Only 36% of low-income parents were involved in 3 or more school activities on a regular basis, compared with the 59% of parents above the poverty line. Absenteeism is frequent. Students who are regularly absent from school have less than a 10% chance of graduating and are disengaged, creating academic and behavioral issues. So how does poverty affect the community? 30% of children raised in poverty do not finish high school. Without a high school diploma, they are 7 times more likely to be persistently poor. between the ages of 25 and 30. Children who have grown up in impoverished areas complete fewer years of schooling and then earn a much lower income than people who do not grow up poor. Children who grow up poor in the U.S. are more likely to be in poor health, and people in poor households at or below the federal poverty level have more than double the rate of violent victimization as people in high-income households. This creates a cycle of poverty, from poor education to lack of job skills to financial distress, breakdown of the family, poor housing, and it's all within proximity to crime. Several supports and services are available to children suffering in poverty conditions. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, there is access to nutrition programs and services such as WIC, Child and Adult Care Food Programs, School Nutrition, Summer Meals, SNAP, known as Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. There's additional support for local income families, including childcare, housing, early childhood education, and also before and after school care to try to meet the needs of these families and their children. According to best practices in school psychology, while it's true that children from economically disadvantaged backgrounds are susceptible to adverse effects of risk factors, it's also true that many children are equally susceptible to the positive effects of protective factors that minimize the effects of negative events in a child's life by enhancing the child's coping strategies and feelings of self-efficacy. Based on the research I've done so far, intervention should happen in a prioritized manner, first meeting the immediate physical needs of that child, whether that be food, shelter, or clothing. Next, meeting their relational needs. Every child comes to school with relational forces that drive their school behaviors, and they have a need for reliable relationships. They need someone at school that they can trust, be it a teacher, be it a peer, someone at school that they can count on. They also need peer socialization. They need to feel like they belong, that they fit in, that they're valued. And third, they have a feeling of needing to feel important and have a certain status at school, belonging to a certain group, being part of a certain team. All of those things build belonging and resiliency towards the factors of poverty. Next is reducing and eliminating acute chronic stressors. And first thing that educators can do is just being aware of certain signs that students will exhibit to let them know that they are exhibiting stress. Then they can empower those students with different coping mechanisms to help them through those type of situations. And then you would focus on the cognitive lags. That would include doing some sort of assessment to find out where the deficit is in their learning, and then providing hope and support for that student. I believe that all of these working together can significantly reduce the effects of poverty in a child's life and can go a long way to securing success for their future.